I need to share something that happened to me not too long ago. My name is Alex, and this story still haunts me to this day. It was the most terrifying experience of my life, and I hope none of you ever have to go through something like this. It all started when I moved into a small town for college. I found a cheap apartment on the outskirts, perfect for my budget. The place had an old, creepy vibe, but I thought nothing of it. I mean, I've always been a skeptic when it comes to supernatural stuff. I figured all those ghost stories were just meant to scare kids. One night, after a late study session, I was heading back home. The streets were empty, the air was chilly, and a dense fog had rolled in, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. I could hear the echo of my footsteps bouncing off the buildings, creating an unsettling rhythm. As I walked, I noticed a shadow moving in the fog. It was too quick to be a person, and it disappeared before I could get a good look. I shrugged it off, telling myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. When I reached my apartment, I locked the door behind me and settled into my routine. I grabbed a snack, flipped on the TV, and tried to relax. But the nagging feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. I kept glancing at the windows, expecting to see something or someone staring back at me. Just as I was about to call it a night, the power went out. The sudden darkness swallowed the room, and my heart started racing. I fumbled for my phone to use its flashlight, and that's when I heard it. A soft, almost inaudible scratching sound coming from my bedroom. I froze, listening intently. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. I wanted to believe it was just a mouse or some other small animal, but deep down, I knew something was very wrong. Summoning all my courage, I crept toward the bedroom, my phone's light barely cutting through the darkness. When I opened the door, my blood ran cold. There, in the corner of my room, was a figure hunched over, scratching at the floor. It slowly turned to face me, and I saw him, Jeff the Killer. His pale face twisted into a maniacal grin, his eyes wide and unblinking.
"Go to sleep,"
he whispered, his voice a sickening blend of calm and insanity. Panic surged through me, and I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I bolted out of my apartment, down the stairs and into the foggy night. Behind me, I could hear Jeff's footsteps, steady and unhurried, like he knew there was no escape. I sprinted through the empty streets, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The fog seemed to close in around me, disorienting me further. I turned corners at random, desperately trying to lose him. But no matter how fast I ran, his footsteps never faltered. In my panic, I stumbled upon an old abandoned house at the edge of town. I pushed the door open and slipped inside, hoping to find a place to hide. The house was in ruins, with broken furniture and shattered windows. It felt like stepping into a nightmare. I found a closet and squeezed myself inside, trying to calm my racing heart. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own breathing. Minutes felt like hours as I waited, praying that Jeff would pass by without finding me. Just when I thought I was safe, I heard the front door creak open. His footsteps echoed through the house, slow and deliberate. He was searching for me, and he was getting closer. I held my breath, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The footsteps stopped right outside the closet door. I could see his shadow through the gap, and then nothing. The silence stretched on, suffocating me. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. Suddenly, the closet door was ripped open, and Jeff stood there, his knife glinting in the dim light.
"Found you,"
he said, his grin widening. I scrambled backward, but there was nowhere to go. In a desperate bid to survive, I lunged at him, using my phone as a weapon. It wasn't much, but it bought me a few precious seconds. I managed to slip past him and ran for the nearest exit. My mind was a blur, fueled by pure terror. I burst out of the house and into the fog, not daring to look back. I ran until my legs gave out, collapsing on the sidewalk. By some miracle, I found myself near a main road. A passing car stopped, and the driver called the police. When the police arrived, they searched the abandoned house, but found no trace of Jeff. They chalked it up to a bad dream or a prank. But I knew what I saw. I knew he was real. They took my statement and advised me to stay with a friend for a few days, which I did. I moved out of that apartment shortly after and never looked back. The memory of Jeff's twisted grin still haunts me, and I can't shake the feeling that he's out there, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike again. So if you ever feel like you're being watched, if you hear footsteps behind you when you're alone, don't ignore it. Stay safe, everyone. And whatever you do, don't go to sleep. Remember, this isn't just a story. This really happened to me, and it could happen to anyone. Stay alert and always be aware of your surroundings. Good night and stay safe.